Today, it's an honor to be joined by the head coach for the Houston Dynamo FC, Ben Olsen, who's more than a decade of coaching experience in Major League Soccer. He has helped Houston win their second U.S. Open Cup, and they're headed back to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. Coach, once again, thank you so much for the time. Your experience in playing soccer, you've won a lot of major tournaments over the years in terms of your playing experience. You won the U.S. Open Cup, you won the Gold Cup, the Champions Cup. You had 2 MLS titles during your time as a player. So not only that, you played for the national team and you were in the Olympics and the FIFA World Cup. So how do you say, I guess, you use that kind of experience to help the players get better on the field?
It's a good question. Well, first, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's all about experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
And drawing on those experiences that I was lucky enough to have to now kind of translate to this group. But a lot of those experiences, or a large part of them, were individual, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it was me worrying about, the team, but really, as a player, you're fairly selfish, and you're
Mm-hmm.
really focused on yourself
Yeah.
and doing your job. And when you start coaching, your collective thoughts are the primary ones, and kind of that selfishness goes away very quickly.
Yeah.
And so, again, to answer your question, drawing on experience to try to help them navigate each season, but each season is completely different. And so, as much as you can draw on those in the past, you also have to be instinctual, and you have to grow as well as a leader. Keep pushing
Right.
yourself to keep up with an ever-changing game.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And of course, the team just won the U.S. Open Cup a couple of weeks back. You had a lot of experience in terms of winning that tournament, not only as a player, but second time as a head coach. The first one was with DC United. How would I say, I guess, the previous successes that you've had in that tournament, how would that have helped you this year in terms of knowing what to expect from the tournament and the kind of teams that are there?
Well, winning helps, again, drawing on that
Yeah.
experience. But I've
Yeah.
also, coached for this is my, I think, 11th season.
Right.
So
Yes.
I've gone through the Open
Mm-hmm.
Cup
Mm-hmm.
process
Yeah.
or journey that many times. So
Mm-hmm.
again, it's just drawing on that experience. And
Right.
we were lucky that we had we dodged a bullet. A few of those early games, as most teams do in the Open Cup. A lot of those games are a crapshoot. You're rotating a
Mm-hmm.
roster, and
Yeah.
one we had a red card, one we were up a man. So the journey to the MLS Cup, or the Open Cup,
Right.
is always a wild one. But you find yourself in the quarters and the semis and the finals, and you really dial it up. It was a great night for the club, for our fans. It's been a while since we've held a trophy,
Yeah.
and it's as I said to the players afterwards, it's just a rare night to have champagne, and
Yeah.
your eyes burning, and you get to hold a trophy.
Right.
As much as we do this on an everyday basis and have full careers, those nights are very, very rare. So it's important to enjoy them and cherish them.
Yep.
But we still have a lot of work to do this season as we've entered the playoffs, and we're
Right.
looking forward to the postseason.
Right. I think it was a tremendous moment for the franchise. And of course, you mentioned the playoffs around the corner. This team hasn't made the playoffs since 2017. This is the first year after 6. You're one of the few head coaches who's been able to lead teams consistently into the postseason. You had 6 times you were able to lead the DC United into the postseason. I guess with it getting closer to that moment, what do you think is key in terms of preparing for that moment, being that you've been there before as a head coach, and what do you think this team needs to do to
Yeah,
have?
we need to just tighten up everything we do. In the playoffs, you just don't get a lot of second chances,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's how you defend and make big plays on the defensive end, or be very efficient on the offensive end. When we get our chances, we got to stick them, and we just have to be at our best. And so that's being collective, really being clear about the opponent and the game plan and their strengths and weaknesses, and really, again, trusting in what we do and understanding, having a real understanding of when we're at our best. Because the playoffs, it's a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
It's ramped up. There's a little
Right.
bit more to it. It's tighter. It's more physical, and it's just it's a difficult tournament to navigate. But it's one we're looking forward to.
Right.
A group that's fearless and they believe in themselves. So that's a good start.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a big moment for the club to be able to enter the playoffs. I think this fan base has really been waiting for that. And I'd say the Houston Dynamo has really kind of quickly turned around from last year. A little bit of a disappointing year. You'll come in. The team has been playing a lot better this year in terms of winning the Open Cup. How has the team been able to turn it around?
Well, it's a different team.
Yeah,
That's part of the answer.
right.
There's been 17 new guys here.
Hmm.
That's a lot. Usually you're looking at 3, 4, 5, 6 new players. 17 new guys are on that, part of this roster. You have new ownership. You have a new general manager. You have a new sporting director. You have a new coach. You have 5 brand new coaches under me. So this is a blank slate, and something that we believe that we can, hopefully this is the foundation of something that is sustainable.
Right.
A lot of teams you can see have these spikes, lightning a bottle,
Yeah.
team gelled and things worked out, and the momentum spiraled in a positive way. I think some of that is part of this year's story. Part of it is the guys have been clear and hungry, and we've also brought in players that are winners. They come from winning environments. So not to win is unacceptable in their minds because that's what they're used to. So there's a lot of things at play here. But the trick is to now be a good postseason team, but also next year be in the postseason, and the year
Yeah.
after that be in the postseason, and try to have this sustainable model here where we're competing for trophies every year, and that's kind of, again, this is hopefully the first year in that process.
So, you mentioned consistency in terms of consistently getting to the playoffs, getting to these big games. How do you think that can happen? What would be the key in terms of being able to do that for years to come?
Well, our player identification has to continue to be uh, um, really, really spot on as far as getting the right type of players here,
Hmm.
right? And when I say right type of players, that's both on the field and off, and their mentality and what they can bring to us, not only on the field, but help build this culture that we want to see here. So really, again, it starts with that. It's about being clear to the players on who we are and how we want to go about the game model, making sure they understand their roles individually, collectively. It's creating the right culture and hunger here, and we got to be fit.
Hmm.
So those are the things we think about. We got to be one of the fitter teams,
Yeah.
and part of that is taking advantage of this nice heat we have here
Yeah.
when teams come in, that we're fitter than them, and
Right.
we take advantage of our home field. So all that stuff comes into play when we talk about sustainability here.
Yeah, and I think the fans have really enjoyed how the team has been able to perform. How do you like your first year in Houston and being with this club, the city, everything about it?
The city's been great.
Yeah.
I've been a guy who's lived in the Northeast my whole
Hmm.
life,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, UVA,
Yeah.
to Washington, D.C. I've been lucky enough with all the teams you mentioned to travel the world. I've seen the
Yeah.
world. As far
Right.
as home base, it's always been in the Northeast.
Right.
And living in D.C. the last 20 years, uh, Houston is very, very different than
Hmm.
Washington, D.C. in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. But there's a lot of similarities too. I love the diversity. The food culture is amazing. The arts, and as far as being here with the Dynamo, the organization has been very welcoming to me and my family. I've passed with Asher and in particular Pat Onstead, good supportive ownership, and it's I couldn't ask for a better year. I'm happy that I am back in the arena here, so to
Hmm.
speak, and getting back to coaches. I took a year or two off.
Right.
I wasn't as excited to coach towards the end of my time at DC United. I hesitate to say burnout, but
Yeah.
that term is a real buzzword now. And I'm recharged, and I'm glad I took this leap to come back into the game.
Absolutely. I think you're definitely built for this. We're glad to have you. And there's been a big difference in terms of the team performing here at Shell Energy. Obviously, it's been a tremendous performance here at home. And then trying to bring that performance on the road. How do you go about in trying to bring it in both sides, not just at home, but also on the road?
The home field stuff has been really a really high level this
Yeah.
year, both in results and also the way we've been playing. And
Yeah.
it's been fun to watch.
Hmm.
And On the road, not so much,
Mhm.
and we've constantly have tried to tinker and figure out
Yeah.
little ways to gain an advantage on the road. Is it going, being more proactive? Is it being more pragmatic? And figuring out that balance has been a tricky one. But over the last couple of months, we've really, from a result standpoint, found a nice balance more times than not.
Yeah.
So whether it was Miami away in Salt Lake, so we're picking up wins and we're also picking up draws, which
Yeah.
sometimes helps you out uh, in an emotional way too. Sometimes
Yeah.
where you didn't let the other team win on the road. So those we've managed to find the right balance of attacking, but also making sure we're tough to break down and tough to score on.
Yeah, I agree. This team hasn't had a loss since September 23rd, and
But I think we prefer to think about what just a great opportunity to go
yeah.
there and um, for us to put ourselves in the best position once the playoffs hit, and that's to win. And
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a huge game, but fans are excited. City's excited for this team. Um, and I guess looking back, what brought you to Houston Dynamo? And just looking back, how has it turned out for you overall?
I flirted with the gig um, a while before I arrived, and
Hmm.
it wasn't the right time to kind of put my mm, hat in the ring.
Yeah.
And but when it came up again, the job, I have some history with Pat Onstead, as I've made very clear,
Hmm.
and um, I thought it was the right time to get back in the game, or at
Yeah.
least to try to get back in the game. And the interview process went well with both Pat and Nasher and uh, the owner Ted Siegel, and it was just the right time. It was the right time for myself and the family.
Yeah.
Pick up and move, shake life up a little bit,
Yeah.
and get out of DC and
Mhm.
see another area of the country and start a new journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess before you started the season, what were, I guess, the reasonable goals that you had for this team? Obviously, they've been able to win the Open Cup,
Yeah,
but
we didn't come into this season saying we won a trophy.
yeah.
We have to win a trophy this
Hmm.
year. That's it was more about setting a foundation
Okay.
for the next few years,
Right.
and within that, the goal is to make playoffs and put ourselves in the postseason. It was as simple as that. And okay, if you boil that, if you boil it down, there's some areas too that we needed to do, both game model and who we are to get into the playoffs and navigate the season. And there's some other areas within that foundation of how we were going to do that. But those were the two main objectives: to make playoffs and start this new culture here,
Yeah.
and one that's sustainable. And I think we've managed to maybe speed it up a little bit because of how some of the results went and how the season
Yeah.
has evolved, and also winning a trophy and
Yeah.
having a little luck along the way. But in the end, when the semis and finals come, those are full matches, full
Yeah.
intense matches, and we're able to win those and hold a trophy. So hopefully, we poured a little gasoline on this
Hmm.
process,
Yeah.
and but you still have to keep moving. Next
Yeah.
year and the year after that, we have to keep moving this thing
Right.
and keep solidifying the foundation and stay as a really competitive team that's protecting Shell Energy
Hmm.
and our home field, and making sure teams don't pick up points
Right.
there at home, and really figure out the right recipe on the road, and
Yeah.
how we go about picking as many points up as the road. And again, that's the recipe to put yourself in the postseason, and then with a little luck, you're holding more trophies.
Yeah, that's a very comprehensive plan. I think that's kind of the way to go about it. And when you look at this team, what do you think they specifically need to work on if there's anything that really stands out to you at the moment?
Nothing. We're perfect.
There has to be
No,
something.
no, there's a lot. There's a lot. Uh, there's so many things, right?
Yeah.
When we talk about the game offensively,
Hmm.
there's areas of improvement.
Yeah.
There's areas where we've been good at for periods of the season, and then
Hmm.
we drop off. And
Yeah.
again, I go back to kind of understanding who we are
Yeah.
and when we're at our best, and trying to make sure that we're there, and we're there when the big games matter, and that's coming up. But we could talk all day about how much
Yeah,
we have to work on, and
yeah,
that's every team now.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't
yeah.
know if that answered your question.
No, I think that was good enough, but
Did I duck that question good enough?
I think it was fine. But what do you think makes a team special on the other hand?
I think this team is special in that their relationships with each other
Mhm.
off the field have
Yeah,
really translated on the field,
yeah,
and they really like each other.
mhm,
They're enjoying the season,
yeah,
and that translates onto the field. And you see them looking after each other.
yeah,
They don't want to let each other down. At the defensive end, they'll do a little extra effort for each other. And then on the offensive end, there's some real organic relationships on the field from a connectivity and the way we pass and the way we um, connect the game and play. It comes out, and it's an enjoyable thing to watch. And that in some ways is the thing I'm most proud of. This group is the culture and the kind of the chemistry
yeah,
off the field has really translated to on the field, and it's an enjoyable product right now to watch.
yeah. And what would you say your relationship is? I mean, with Hector Herrera, of course, he's done a tremendous job here. How would you assess the performance he's done in your relationship?
And he's been wonderful this year.
Yeah.
He's a big part of our success.
Mm.
This is, as I said many times, in a lot of ways, this is his team. He's the captain,
Yes.
and when he speaks, it's sometimes even more influential when a head coach speaks.
Mm.
This is the reality of players that have played at a really high level and are respected in the locker room. He's a good leader. I think he's never probably been in the position where he's been the sole leader and has as much freedom as he has with this team, and I think he's really enjoying that process. And I think he likes the team. I think he loves Houston and our fans. He's a good ambassador for the club. So
Hmm.
all in all, he's been a big help for me and a really a great a great asset for the club.
Absolutely. I think it's tremendous. He's done a tremendous job. And just the last question here. Um, Dynamo obviously has a big fan base, but for the people in Houston that are kind of slowly getting into the Houston Dynamo, of course, seeing them win and wanting to see more, what would be your message to those newer fans about what to expect from the team?
They just got to give us a chance and come on out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think what we put together this year at
Yeah.
home, I think that speaks for itself. I think they just
Okay.
need to we just need to get them in the doors
Mm-hmm.
and see the show.
Yeah.
And because it's not only the field product is I think an enjoyable one, and we've been winning at home, so that always helps to send the fans home with the right result.
Yeah.
And, but it's also soccer in general is different than any other sport in this country, and the fans and the pageantry and the noise and the singing, that's a special environment wherever you go in a game of soccer. And people that haven't seen a lot of soccer games, they need to come check this out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
fan friendly, it's kid friendly, and it's just a really good atmosphere, show of energy. So we need them out. I've been very vocal about not having enough fans in our building. I go around the country and it's packed.
Yeah.
More times than not, we go to a away game. On weekends, there's not a seat in the house, and it's loud. And people that are showing up are doing a great job and giving us support, and they sounds like it's full. We can double that. We can double the
Mm-hmm.
attendance at
Yeah.
our stadium and make this one of the toughest places to play, in the history of the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a really tough place to play. I know there's a saying here, give them hell in the shell. I think you've been giving that for sure
Yeah,
to
well,
the opponents.
115-degree weather helps.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Coach, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. It was an
Great.
honor to talk to you.
Honor to talk to you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you so much for the time.